All right, folks. Well, hey, we are so proud to partner with the National Concealed Carry Association as a 10-ring partner. NCCA exists to serve the Second Amendment community by providing a nationwide network of 2A advocates, offers elite self-defense and concealed carry training from the nation's top instructors, and provide rock-bottom prices on the best selection of gear and accessories. Learn more about them at nationalconcealedcarryassociation.com. Well, Mike, who you got for a guest?
Well, we have a very special guest. I guess it was a couple months ago now, one of our board members called me up and said, hey, they're having this event, and I don't know much about it, but they're calling it, I think it was called a Freedom Market. And I think we should probably see if we could have a booth there. So we set up a booth at their event, and it was gangbusters. The event was very, very cool. We got a lot of interest. A lot of people that attended loved San Diego County Gun Owners. So we started looking into this a little bit more to see exactly what was going on here, and found out that there were two fantastic ladies who organized this event, and one of them is on with us today, Amy Reichert. How are you, Amy?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thanks for coming on. So tell us about it's the Freedom Markets, right? Is that what they were called, Freedom Market?
Yeah. So the Freedom Market is actually part of ReOpen San Diego, and ReOpen San Diego is a group of San Diegans who are nonpartisan. We come from all walks of life, and we're pro-freedom, and we are against these extended unconstitutional lockdowns. So our Freedom Market was one way that we could support small businesses and have a day where kids could run around. There was music, there was dancing, and there was lots of freedom. And I was so glad you guys were there.
That's awesome. So how did you get involved with ReOpen San Diego?
Wow. Well, we just started off meeting at Liberty Station initially, and we were just a group of moms and dads who had kids who had been trapped in front of screens for months, hadn't even played with other kids. So we created this safe community. We're about as grassroots as it gets. And as we continued to meet, we knew we had to do something. We knew that we had to stand up to these lockdowns and our schools being locked down and our businesses being locked down. And that's when we started having events and rallies like the Freedom Market. And we even had an All I Want for Christmas is Freedom rally in El Cajon, and we had 1,000 people there.
Wow, that's very cool. Now, what's the goal? What are you accomplishing by doing this? Because I think it's wonderful, and unfortunately I couldn't make it. We were on the air both times, but the folks that we sent said it was just great to be around other like-minded people. It was great to be in an environment like it was a year ago before all these weird lockdowns. So what's the goal? What were you hoping to accomplish?
Exactly what you just said. There's just this need for people to be human again, to be in community, and also just express to the government that it's time to open up. Florida's been open since September. Texas opened up 2 weeks ago, 100%. And, well, we know the results. Cases are going down. So why is San Diego County one of the most locked down counties in the entire United States? Why are California kids 50th out of 50 to go back to school? Is the science different here? No, it's not.
And you weren't shy about this whole thing. You had live video going on your Facebook page. You were very vocal. You went. I saw you on KUSI a number of times. I'm not sure if other news outlets picked you up, but man, you stuck yourself way out there. What did that take for you to do that? I mean, was that natural or was that hard? I mean, you were really, really vocal.
I have to say, so it's actually something that's very personal to me. I live in La Mesa now, and I actually have grown up in San Diego since 1972. And over the summer, you probably recall, we had the riots.
Yeah.
And the riots were 2 miles from where I live now. And I remember going out there the next day and standing in the middle of 3 buildings that were still burning. And over the course of the next week, we had the National Guard come. We were under curfew here in La Mesa every night at 6:30. We had helicopters 24/7 beating over our head. And it was then that I realized, it's time. It's time to start speaking out against these lockdowns. This is ridiculous.
And how's it been? When you put yourself out there like that and you are a leader, and especially when it's something fairly controversial, how has it been for you to be vocal and to be kind of a public figure now?
Well, I would have to say that 2020 was probably the best and the worst when I talk about that, because in many ways I've met incredible people and incredible organizations like you guys. And on the other hand, I've been called every name in the book, just like you guys. Mm-hmm. You get thrown everything, and just
I get it's just constant name calling. Handsome, yeah. Adorable,
cute,
really, really great. And at some point I just got to go, look, I'm human like the rest of you. Well, I don't mean to.
Nice. It's more like they call me Q supporter, and they call me dangerous for wanting to reopen San Diego. And
well, and
you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it.
I don't mean to make light of it. It's
yes,
horrible.
You did.
I did. I meant to make light of it, but I certainly don't mean to marginalize. It's horrible when you have a bunch of strangers calling you horrible names. I hope you don't mind me telling this, but you and I were talking yesterday, and you said it made me laugh. You said that they were calling you. Someone called you a Nazi, and you said, I'm going to have to go back and tell the rabbi who bat mitzvahed me when I was 13. And I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, and also my 78-year-old Jewish mother would be very shocked.
Yeah.
To find out that you were. Well, so what's the future look like?
Well, we actually have a couple events coming up. On the human side, the need to be human, we're actually going to be having a comedy night, and it's going to be at the Bay Bridge Brewing, and that's in Chula Vista. And my good friends Jim and Sue Shirey, they own that brewing company. And, of course, they've been hit so hard, right? All these shutdowns. And so they're actually going to have a group of professional comedians that are going to come, and we're going to have a night of comedy. And you can find out more about that at ReOpenSD.org, and you can just go to our events page for that. But on the other hand, not only are we going to be supporting small businesses and professional comedians and bringing laughter back, but on Tuesday, April 6th, we're going to be having a protest at the County Board of Supervisors because, and you're not going to believe this, right now, San Diego County, you cannot actually go in person to a County Board of Supervisors meeting, but you can in Orange County, you can in San Bernardino, and you can in Riverside. So again, we're just asking, is the science different in San Diego County?
I was going to say, Amy, you have to understand that science is very, very different county to county.
Right.
Yes.
So,
hey, by the way, Amy, you need a celebrity comedian. I know a guy. His name is Mr. Schwartz. Michael Schwartz will stand up, and they'll have the place in stitches. So I highly recommend it.
You know what if it's called a night of comedy, I should show up in a suit of armor.
You should.
And be the night of comedy.
I think you should.
That'd be awesome.
He's got some.
I just thought of that.
Okay. And the other thing, too, stay real close to KUSI because that is one of the best outlets to the community out of all the TV stations in San Diego, just so you'll know.
They've been so good to us. But you know what's even more surprising? Actually, we have gotten positive press from every single station.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. I saw you on KUSI. So local what? ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox?
810-39 Fox, CW6.
Wow. All those guys.
Everybody, even Telemundo. Yo hablo español.
Ocho nueve.
Yeah.
So Telemundo, by the way, I've had wonderful experience with Telemundo. I think they're one of the last few actual journalistic outlets, I believe. I think I can't understand everything they're saying, unfortunately, but they seem to cover us really, really well. They love us, but that's really good to hear that media is covering you so well. What about elected officials? Has anybody reached out to you and said, "Hey, you know what? You guys picked up the torch, and we want to help you run with it,"
or stop it?
Yeah, or stop it. Is either from either side?
Well, I have to say that when we first started ReOpen San Diego, my biggest skeptic was my 78-year-old Jewish mother. She just thought reopening San Diego was fringe. You know, she just couldn't believe it. And then we actually had people like Mayor Bill Wells of El Cajon.
Good dude.
He actually said, I want to speak. And we had Supervisor Jim Desmond and State Senator Brian Jones and Congressman Darrell Issa. We've had like the
He showed up?
names.
Now, did he show up or did he like Zoom from his yacht?
No, he totally was there for
All right.
all I want for Christmas is freedom. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, that's really good. So, has anybody approached you negatively? Has anybody reached out and said,
from politicians?
Yeah.
I would say no.
Wow.
We actually just got Kevin Faulkner to speak at our last rally, and Marco Contreras, who's running for the 79th. I support him, by the way. I live in the 79th.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about Marco. I'm hearing a lot of good things about Marco.
Yeah. So I honestly wish, we're nonpartisan, but it does seem that the people, the elected officials that are willing to speak and help us out are Republicans. So I invite freedom lovers from the Democratic Party who represent us here in San Diego to join us and do the right thing to reopen San Diego. 100%.
Invite Nathan Fletcher and let us know how that goes. I'm your backup comedian. Hey, I tell you what, Amy.
Come on, Nathan, talk to us.
There you go. I'm telling you, Amy, stick with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to do a commercial. But when we come back, we're going to talk to you some more because this is a very interesting and exciting conversation. Folks, stay with us. This is FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Lead Slingers has really been helping out with the show this year. First with the Cover Your Ass Week sponsorship, and now they're sponsoring the Magnum interview with Seth Yon. Lead Slingers whiskey is produced by 7 combat veterans from the U.S. Army Rangers, U.S. Air Force, TACP, Special Forces, and paratrooper community. Their love for America and fine whiskey is what the company is all about. Next time you want to enjoy a sip of whiskey, ask for Lead Slingers. Now, continued from our last segment.
Actually, before we go back to Amy,
you're going to interrupt her?
Well, no. Joe's got some shout-outs.
Oh, yeah, some shout-outs, some YouTubers.
We just spent the whole break talking about this.
And I just blow right by it. Hey, it's not on my schedule.
You're right.
Short-term memory.
Well, if you do it before you get to Amy, it's not technically an interruption.
That's
right?
That's true.
So, yeah, we have a shout-out to our YouTube fans, to T. Capo, Dr. Exotic, and Ghost Hammer. And then a special shout-out to Rick Cohen, also on YouTube, who has been a very active tabletop volunteer for us. So those are the shout-outs.
There you go.
All right.
So speaking of tabletops, we're talking to Amy from ReOpen San Diego. And, Joe, what did you say when we were at a break?
That's right, in the break, the really fun part of the show. No, we were just talking about the tabletops at the Freedom Market. And my neighbor, Jeff Allen, has been working those tabletops pretty much every week and just enjoying the heck out of them. And they've been very lucrative in terms of signing up people for the San Diego County Gun Owners. So a lot of the people that go to the market are very enthusiastic about us. So it's been a really good thing.
There you go, Amy.
Yeah, can't thank you enough, Amy, for doing that. You and I know you have I know there's a whole bunch of people behind you working hard and helping, but in particular, there's your partner, Allie, is with you a lot too, right?
That's right. Yeah, she's the co-founder of ReOpen San Diego.
That's very cool. Do you mind my asking, what do you do for a living?
So I'm actually a licensed private investigator in the state of California. I've had my license since 1999.
Wow.
But right now, I actually work in marketing of all things, but I keep that license because I worked so hard for it. And I get calls all the time. Hey, Amy, can you do me a PI favor? So it comes in handy.
I'm just curious. Do you mind me asking if any of this is too personal? You don't want to talk about your personal life. I totally understand. But how did you get into being a private investigator?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, thank you for asking. Actually, I was adopted when I was a baby. And then when I was 2 years old, my mom, who adopted me and who I consider my mom, got a letter by mistake from the attorney handling the adoption, which had the name of my biological mother. I was born in Pennsylvania, and that information is never supposed to be available. So my mom actually gave me her name when I was 25. Well, that was the early 90s, and there was no such thing as Google. So I actually started looking for her using skip trace methods, which means searching through public records. And I found her. And I thought, I actually enjoyed the whole process of finding her. I think I'd like to parlay this into some kind of career.
Wow.
And that's how I became a PI.
That's pretty interesting.
I thought for sure you were listening to Johnny Dollar on XM radio. Classic radios. I thought for sure.
I have an important PI question for you.
Yeah.
More accurate show, Magnum PI or Simon & Simon? This is going to settle a lot of arguments, so take your time if you need to.
Simon & Simon, that was set in San Diego,
Yep.
and I do remember both shows, but I think it was really Charlie's Angels.
That's a great
touche.
answer.
I love it. I love it.
All right, so speaking of events,
Back to work.
Yeah, San Diego County Gun Owners, we have our fair share of events as well, and you joined us at one of our events yesterday, which was very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a program called Not Me SD, and Melissa, our lovely Melissa here, was there mentoring. Not Me SD is a program, we've talked about it a lot, but it's women who want to own a firearm, get training on their firearm, and get a CCW. We pair them up with women who are trained to help them get those resources, walk them through the whole process. It's not just words on a website or a pamphlet. It's women helping women. It's a program for women, by women, designed by women. It's really, really fantastic. So yesterday we had a shooting social for the Not Me SD folks, and you joined us there. What did you think?
I thought it was great. So despite being a licensed PI and wanting to live that Charlie's Angels lifestyle, I am definitely a rookie when it comes to guns. So the last time I actually shot at a gun range was probably about 15 years ago. So it was an amazing experience. Melissa was like the best trainer ever. And I was told that I had a very nice grouping. So there.
She had an amazing grouping.
Yeah.
It blew everybody out of the water. I'm sorry to say.
What was she using?
She was actually, I had 2 firearms for her to try. And I had my M&P Shield 9 and then my CZ SPO1, which is my competition gun, and it had a red dot on it. However, when I saw her reaction, she jumped a little bit at the sound of the gunshot at first. And so I was like, okay, so knowing that the M&P Shield 9 is snappy, I wanted to give her something a little easier to learn on, so to make it easier for her to acclimate to shooting. So we used that gun, and she did phenomenal. She listened really well, and when I told her to slow down for the trigger pull, she did, and she had tangible results.
That's awesome. I think we had, what do we have there? We had 8 women students. Was it 8 or 10? Something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. And they all got their own mentor.
Yep.
And one of our members who is really active in Not Me, Wendy Clark, supplied all the ammo.
Yes,
which was
thank
very
you,
cool.
Wendy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did your partner like it? Did Allie have a good time?
Allie is definitely more experienced than I am. So she goes to a gun range on a regular basis, and she loved it. She loved the energy. She loved the whole event, and we were so grateful to you guys. And Melissa, you're just amazing. Just the best trainer ever.
Oh,
thank you for putting me at ease.
And did you take the target home and show your husband? Was he proud of you?
Oh, my gosh, you bet. I'm like, look, honey, check this out.
Don't
and of
mess
course,
with me.
I posted it on Facebook. Hello.
It's a warning. You
Hey,
should
Amy,
hang it in the front window.
Yeah, hang in the front window and say, this house is protected by, and they'll see that grouping, and they will stay away from your house.
That's right.
You did so good, though. You did really,
Aw.
really well.
Thank you.
And I loved the confidence that you had afterwards. She was doing one of those, one of those things afterwards.
The fist pump.
The fist
Yep,
pump.
yep.
She was jazzed.
Was she spinning her pistol, throwing it in the holster backwards?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Just double checking. Just never know.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you liked it. Those are we've only had a couple of we've had a bunch of shooting socials. So shooting socials are where we take relatively inexperienced gun or people that maybe have never even touched a gun before, and we pair them up with experienced mentors, and we give them a first time shooting experience. We've had thousands of people go through that program now. And everybody likes it. Everybody's had a great time, but this one was specific to Not Me SD. I think we only had a couple that were specific to Not Me SD. So in celebration, we how were the donuts? Did you have any of the donuts, Amy?
I passed on the donuts.
Yeah, we had a lot of leftover donuts.
That was your idea, Mike.
So, well, that's very, very cool. That's awesome. So what do you think? Are you gonna get more into being a gun owner? Did it do anything for you, or what are your thoughts on that?
Definitely raised my confidence level. A little side note, I actually considered taking firearms training back when I got my license as a private investigator, but the state just makes it so difficult. They want to have, at least back then, when I first got my license, you had to have a $1 million bond if you were going to be licensed as a private investigator. And I'm like, I think I'm going to take a hard pass on that. So it was really good to actually get the training yesterday, long overdue, and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm definitely going to check it out again.
That's awesome. Well, if you need help with getting a CCW, we can do that. I didn't know that if you wanted to be licensed and armed as a PI, that you have to go through a bunch of hoops and stuff. I thought you could. I don't know.
Where do you think you live?
I was gonna say, you're surprised.
Hello.
Well, I just why when you? I think you can just get a CCW, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
So in license, you needed a firearms permit, and then you also needed to carry insurance as well.
I'm fascinated that you're a PI, by the way. Okay, so what's a really interesting PI story?
Oh, goodness, here
I know,
it
we're
comes.
going way off script. What's like a really interesting PI story? Do you have one that you can tell?
Oh, I definitely have a few. There's even some more. I even have one involving an ex-Charger player.
Oh.
Stories.
We have like what's a 2-minute story you can tell?
Oh my gosh! Well, I
Putting you on the spot.
remember. There were times when I got to do mystery shopping. There were times when I would go undercover and follow cheating spouses. There were people that I would follow who were committing obvious workers' compensation fraud and videotape them, and I would wind up having to testify in court. So many gratifying stories, finding long-lost loved ones. One quick story was a gal who, when she was 9 years old, she was in a small airplane crash. Her brother was in the airplane, and her two parents were actually there. They both tragically passed away. And she was actually adopted. And so later on in life, after being raised by her grandmother, she actually asked me to find her biological father. She had already found her biological mother, and she had very little information, and she had a very, very common name. But I cracked the case, and the beautiful thing about having cases like that is when you get to see the reunion and you get to see the relationship that comes out of that. And I think that was probably the most rewarding part about being
That's
a private
awesome.
investigator.
You know what? She's got the lingo. She cracked the case.
Crack the case. And if you see Amy, she's such a lovely lady. I could imagine that you wouldn't stick out as a PI.
They're not supposed to.
Joe, like if Joe was a private investigator, people
He looks like a PI.
Yeah, he looks like a PI.
Look more like Cannon, right?
That's why I could knock on people's doors, and I would just ask a bunch of questions, and they would just tell me. It was great. I never had to say, "Hi, this is Amy Reichert, private investigator. license 21006, here to ask you questions.
Yeah.
I would just ask people questions, and because I didn't look like a PI, they tell me.
And don't forget
Thank you,
that
Amy.
up against the wall. That's the best part. Amy, thank you very much for taking time out of your Sunday. I have a sneaky feeling we will have you. We'll have you back on. All right, folks.
Aw, thank you.
All right, you stay right there. And after the break, we're going to be talking with Layla Aziz on the Anti-Racism Sentencing Reform Act on FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 AM. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.